Hi, everyone. So I've been picking up on a bit of a complicated energy, and I wanted to come on here to talk about it. So, what I'm getting is two different frequencies, and that's the best way that I can describe them. And one of these frequencies is the frequency of calm, and I'm hearing it's a pure frequency. This feels like your natural baseline state. The other frequency that I'm picking up on is one of chaos. It feels very fragmented. It feels like it's pulling you in many different directions, causing you to feel frazzled, to feel disoriented, but I'm also hearing invisible. So the strange thing is, when you're aligned with the first frequency, this pure, peaceful, centered frequency, I'm getting that you feel invincible versus feeling invisible. On this other frequency, you feel empowered. It's almost the exact opposite. Like these two frequencies, the best way I can describe them is they are almost polar opposites, and they make you feel in opposite ways. And you may at times find yourself kind of flipping between the two. And so when you are connected with this pure frequency, this deeply authentic frequency, I'm getting that you feel completely self-fulfilled, you feel grounded, you feel confident in your body, you feel empowered. You walk around and people can't help but look at you, stare at you. You attract a lot of positive attention. Whereas when you flip into or kind of like get pulled off track by this other frequency, it leaves you feeling very much the opposite, where you actually might start questioning yourself, doubting yourself. Specifically, I'm getting something with your appearance. So you might suddenly start to feel a lack of confidence in how you're looking physically, or you might start to become self-conscious. And this is very contrary to your typical normal baseline energy. So I wanted to do this reading because I feel that for the group I'm speaking to here, there is this feeling of, why am I flipping between these two very opposite frequencies? And I'm hearing the gates are open. So what I'm getting from that is, I keep hearing 3D versus 5D. So there are so many different ways that we can conceptualize and talk about energies, of course. And so many of you are intuitives, you are empaths in your own right. And so you completely understand what I'm talking about when I say that it's sometimes difficult to find the physical human words to describe some of these experiences. But what I'm getting here is that this is unusual for you. I feel that for a while, you were pretty solidly in what we'll call the 5D frequency. I'm hearing that's your home space. That's your natural state. And you'd firmly stabilized in this energy of peace, self-confidence, self-love. I'm hearing feeling full of yourself, but not in the egotistical way. Full of yourself in the sense that you are filled up by your own energy. You are lit up by your own soul's essence, and you are super magnetic. But recently, there's been this strange dynamic where you've been picking up on 3D timelines and energies and frequencies that are sometimes almost like pulling you to their level in a way that I feel either hasn't happened ever for you or definitely hasn't been happening recently. What I mean is, like, until recently, this wasn't really happening for you. Maybe it's something you experienced near the beginning of your spiritual journey or when you were still kind of on that path of self-love. But I feel like this is that kind of frazzled, frantic kind of energy is something that you're very unaccustomed to. And I'm hearing that's because this isn't your energy. That's not your baseline energy. But when I say the gates are open, I'm talking about the gates between 5D timelines and 3D timelines. So I'm hearing something, first of all, about being very careful of the frequency you are selecting at this time, because the gates are open in the sense that you are able to sense and access lower level kinds of frequencies and timelines. And by lower level, I don't mean negative necessarily, but I mean timelines where you're feeling more distracted or more frantic or more anxious than you usually would be. And so I'm hearing that selecting your frequency is extremely important at this time, doing it consciously, waking up and selecting what kind of frequency you want to be on and what kind of timeline you want to align with as a result of that frequency. But there's nuance here because there's an element that we haven't introduced to the picture in this reading that I know many of you have been sensing, and it's that it's not just that the gates are open, like frequency wise, and that you may be kind of at times, I'm hearing it's environmental at times, that you might be in a certain public environment. I'm hearing like maybe it's a public library or a public street or a public crowd or gym or something, school, university. I feel like you're out in public somewhere and you start to feel frazzled or kind of like inundated by these sorts of like 3D based energies to the point where you sometimes start to either feel it as like tension in your physical body that you then have to clear and release using whatever your energetic hygiene practices are, or it's like you start to think the thoughts of that collective space and it almost feels like it's your own thoughts, but it's not. And again, you can tell the difference because if you entered that space feeling lighthearted, feeling open-hearted, feeling high vibrational, and then as you were in that physical environment or in that group or that public area, you slowly started to feel more self-conscious, more frazzled, more distracted. That's a really powerful sign that it was actually your environment that you were empathically picking up on that kind of pulled you down into those, we'll call them like 3D timelines that again, maybe you haven't necessarily been aware of or had access to for a while. Another thing is, and I mentioned this before, but you're going to feel invisible on those timelines. Not that people can't physically see you, but that you're not really being heard or seen as you want to be seen or responded to in a positive way. I feel like you've reached this level where typically, again, as you've been solidly in this 5D space, typically people who intersect with you in physical reality, who encounter you, who happen across you. I'm hearing coming across you is like coming across some magical unicorn in the wild. It's a rare and beautiful experience that not everyone gets to have. In fact, it's a very, very selective kind of experience. But for some reason, my guides are calling it a sighting. Like when someone meets you, it's like getting a unicorn sighting. That's the best way they can describe it. And by the way, you do affect people that way, where after they meet you or even just see you, it's like they're left with this impression, who was that? Who was that person? Who is that person? Because there's something so magical about your energy. Lately, I haven't been able to stop listening to the song Mystical Magical by Benson Boone. And I mentioned this in a previous reading, but wow, I feel like that song encompasses your energy. Maybe you'll feel guided to listen to it and there will be some sort of, I don't know, message or energy there for you. But I feel like there's something about your love that it's mystical and it's magical. That's the best way I can describe it. And connecting with you, meeting you, getting a chance to see you, it's almost like a spiritual experience in itself. And anyway, that was a little bit of a side tangent, but I wanted to take a moment just to like appreciate and adore who you are and how mystical and magical you are. But back to the main thread of the story here. What I'm getting is that, yeah, that's what you're used to. You're used to showing up as that rare, you are that rare energy. You're used to being responded to in that way. That's what it's like for you when you are centered and when you're peaceful and relaxed and aligned and in that fifth dimensional home space frequency where you so solidly are these days. But when you drop into or are pulled into, and we'll get into who or what may be actively kind of pulling you into those timelines, but when you're pulled into those, let's call them 3D timelines or lower energies, what you're going to feel is again like frantic, frazzled, distracted. You may almost even feel like you are chasing or trying to like pursue something or someone. Not necessarily that you're doing that intentionally, but you may be thinking like, I want a positive response from this group or from that person or from whatever this is, and you're not getting it. It may make you feel almost like you're trying to like put something on or perform or appear a certain way, which again is so contradictory to your normal, natural, baseline, raw energy. And that's why I feel it's been so confusing for you. And what I'm getting, and now we're going to get to what I've been alluding to, which is it's not entirely just this empathic process of you entering these environments and then, whoa, I feel kind of affected. I feel there are people involved here, not maliciously, and we will talk about this, but there's a few different dynamics. One dynamic that I'm picking up on, and keep in mind, I'm going to channel into a few different dynamics, and I want to say that I'm intuitively getting these different dynamics are going to connect with different groups of people. Not to say there won't be overlap between the groups, but this is kind of a like pick and choose sort of part of the reading, if that makes sense. A choose your own adventure, if you will. So the first dynamic I'm getting is a very specific person who soul activated you, but was also soul activated by you. And this is a person who dips in and out of realities and timelines. So they are currently not very solid. Like you've been very solid in this 5D frequency. You've been very confident, very self-loving, very sure of who you are. But what I'm getting about this person is they've been up and down. And I am getting it was most likely some kind of recent event, whether it was a massive life change, life event, a breakup, just like difficult life circumstances. But there's something about their life that has caused this person to kind of destabilize. I am no physicist, as I'm sure you can imagine. I do like to talk about, quantum mechanics as I perceive it in terms of energy, but I'm definitely not a scientific expert. So if you are a scientific expert in this area, let me know about, is there a certain kind of thing in physics that is destabilized? I want to say this is like an electron or something. I don't know. There's some particle that is destabilized. Anyway, I'm also hearing something about how when you observe something, it changes its behavior. Ooh, this is so interesting. I almost feel like when you try to observe this connection or like really attach yourself to this person, it almost like repels away from you. It's like when you observe it, it changes its behavior. Like it's naturally trying to kind of weave itself into something or align for you. But what I'm getting is whenever you try to become really hyper aware of it or like dig into it mentally, it actually like seems to repel itself away from you, or it starts to get really murky or really confusing as to what's actually going on here. Okay, so as I was saying, it's like this person is destabilized and they tend to shift up and down. I'm hearing they have good and bad days. So sometimes this person is in more of a 5D timeline, although I'm hearing it's somewhat rare for them. It's not super common for them. But I'm hearing that what happened is you were kind of going along on your way, being the unicorn that you are in your magical reality in this 5D state. And boom, you came across this person. They intersected with your reality. And I'm hearing they noticed you, and noticed is in bold, like they noticed you. And you actually noticed them because the two of you like just happened. I'm seeing like a slot machine or something. And it's like you just happen to all, it's like when you get a 777 or something. Maybe 777 is a number for someone, but it's almost like in this rare moment of alignment, those frequencies all lined up and you and this person were able to consciously interact in some way. Now, you may have not spoken to each other, or maybe you did have a conversation, or maybe you like had a magical moment of some kind, like you looked at each other, made eye contact, connected in some way. But I'm hearing something meaningful occurred between the two of you in that moment of 777, where everything just perfectly aligned for you. Well, I actually feel, I mean, let's be real, it aligned for them, because my guides are saying like they hit the jackpot metaphorically by being able to connect with you, because they are, again, very destabilized, and it's rare for them to fully, like, solidly align long enough with a super high vibrational timeline like the one you're on for long enough to, like, really interact with anyone there. But it happened with you. I'm almost seeing like that time traveling scenario where I think I heard this story. I'm not sure if it's real or a myth, of some man who showed up at an airport and he had a passport that looked extremely real from a country that, at least on our world's timeline, has never existed. Anyway, I feel like that's kind of what happened here. Like, you're almost living in totally different parallel realities because of your typical difference in frequencies. But there was this moment where this person was having a good enough day or raised their frequency enough that they were able to sight you, to spot you, to connect with you. And it was meaningful and it was magical. It was mystical magical, if you will, as the theme of this reading goes. But here's what happened for this group I'm speaking to here. So what happened is this person did their usual thing, and I'm hearing it wasn't you, it was their frequency. So lately you've been feeling as though you haven't been able to, like, find this person. Now, maybe this is literal, where you've been actively, like, trying to cross paths again, or trying to reach out to them, trying to communicate. I'm hearing like you've been trying to find them again because you felt something meaningful in that moment too. You felt the soul exchange. And I'm getting, you are someone who is very beautifully guided by your soul. So when you feel that pull, when you feel, it's funny, I went to check my clock because I have an event I'm going to tonight, and I wanted to see what time it was. And of course, the first time I check it during this reading, it says 333. So 333, spiritual alignment, spiritual connections, very significant number. And what I'm getting is you've been looking for this person because you were deeply affected by this moment as well. And that feeling was so mutual. I'm getting that you've tried to shake off this energy, but it's very much a slow burn. It sticks with you, and it's almost like you've not been able to shake it. For some of you, I'm hearing you've even tried to travel or do a trip or go somewhere new, or maybe just in general to, like, break out of your usual routine to get this person out of your head because it feels like they've so deeply affected you. But nothing really seems to be working. And I'm hearing this is because there is still something going on here, something to be done here, but I'm hearing not by you at this moment. So the thing is, you are psychically sensing that you have a form of spiritual unfinished business with this other person, which you do. But the problem is your system is interpreting that as, I need to do something about this right now. And that is part of what is sending you into this atypical mode for you, this atypical frequency where you're feeling kind of frantic, where you're feeling like you're kind of searching for this person or maybe even chasing. But I get that you're very self-aware of it. Like, you know that you're doing this, but it's really hard to stop. And that's not your fault. It's not your fault because, again, there is spiritual unfinished business here. You were deeply affected by this person. You're not going crazy. Maybe someone clicked this reading just to get that confirmation. It's just that there's a lot more to the story than what you are seeing. And your system is kind of taking this unfinished soul business and interpreting it as, I need to find or speak to or connect with or be with this person right now. Whereas I feel that your guides, your spirit guides, your higher self, God, the divine forces guiding your life, whatever divine beings you connect with, they're kind of saying here, okay, it's like they're stepping in and kind of blocking this from fully moving forward until this person is ready. But you're almost like sitting behind that wall of divine protection, not realizing it's a wall of divine protection and just thinking that it's a wall and feeling frustrated and thinking, what am I doing wrong? Am I not properly manifesting this person? Am I doing something to push them away? But none of that is true. You are powerful. You are a powerful manifester. And I feel in this case, the reason you haven't manifested more contact, more communication, more connection physically right now with this person is because of, I'm hearing there's a bigger picture. I mean, I know my guides are being kind of vague right now, but we'll get into as much as we can before I have to go. I don't have a ton of time. Maybe we'll pick this up again tomorrow because little plug, you guys know that I'm doing daily videos. So I just wanted to mention that as well, or at least I'm doing that until mid-August. I'm doing a kind of a 30-day challenge on the channel. So I said there were multiple groups and reasons that you might feel pulled to this timeline. But I'm just picking up so much going on with this person. I kind of want to go deeper into it. We'll see how far we get. If I can't talk about those other dynamics that could be pulling you to a different timeline, then I'll be sure to pick this up again in a future reading, maybe even tomorrow's reading, because I'll be back on with you here tomorrow. But yeah, okay. So I'm hearing this person is thinking about you as much as you're thinking about them. You're sitting here kind of frustrated, spinning your wheels a little behind this wall of what you may not fully realize is actually divine protection. And I keep hearing they're not ready. It's because they're not ready and not because they don't want it. And I want to channel more into what's going on here, but I feel that the reason that you haven't been aligning more with this person physically has nothing to do with anything that you've been doing or not doing. It has to do with the fact that they tend to flip in and out of realities quite a bit. And in fact, it's actually a wonder that they stabilized their frequency enough, even temporarily, to be able to connect with you even in that moment, which for some of you was really brief. For some of you, this may have literally been, you saw this person, you thought, whoa, like there was this mutual electrifying energy exchange, and then you parted ways and they shifted timelines. And now it's like, where is this person? For others of you, maybe this was a longer term connection and they just dropped out of your frequency or dropped out of your timeline. But again, I keep picking up them dropping out of your timeline had nothing to do with you and everything to do with them, their self-worth, their self-confidence. But the thing is, when you go seeking them, when you go looking for them, either literally trying to go to places where you might run into them or just energetically, when you're kind of in that chasing or seeking mode, kind of spinning your wheels here, what I'm getting is not only are you not connecting this person, it's actually repelling them further away. Not only is that occurring, but also you are dropping your own frequency in the process. And again, it totally makes sense why you would be doing this, because I feel a lot of like soul ache here as well. There is a real true soul grief because I feel like you tasted this moment with this person, whether it was literally a few seconds of eye contact all the way to like months or years of communication and then them dropping out of your life or anything in between. I feel like you tasted something. I'm hearing something different, something new with this person, something that your soul hadn't felt before. And I feel like you are the type of spiritual being who's very exploratory, meaning you are very aware when you are experiencing a frequency, an energy, a connection that is unlike anything you've felt before. And whether it's a friendship or like, this even doesn't have to be a person, this could be an idea that you start feeling out. I feel that it's almost this inevitable pull to follow it, to figure out what it is. Whenever you're experiencing something that feels different, that feels new to your soul, I'm hearing you're a scholar of the universe, not just in your human form, but I feel your soul on that eternal multi-lifetime, meaning every lifetime you've ever lived or ever will live level, your soul on that cosmic infinite level is a scholar of the universe. You like to explore things. You like to learn. I'm seeing books. Maybe you like to read a lot, or maybe you are just exploring the metaphorical libraries of information that are like within you. I feel you may be someone who at times spends hours a day just thinking or journaling or kind of delving into ideas or reading or gathering information. And so when it comes to your physical human life experience, when you encounter someone like this person, because I keep hearing this is something else, this is something different. You are correct. There is something different going on here than has ever been something you've experienced before. And your desire to follow this out is not wrong. It's actually very much in line with your soul's nature, your desire to explore. But I just feel like this wall is going up because your guides are saying like, not yet. or we're going to block you from this until this person is ready. And so I feel this call to refocus as best as you can on your inner self, on your own stability. And I'm hearing if you align back with that so-called 5D timeline that we've been talking about, where you are in your peace, where you're in your power. And I know it's so much easier said than done. I know. But if you're able to master that, if you're able to do that, and I'm hearing it's not something that happens all at once, this is going to be gradual, and it's best if you can really establish that frequency in the morning. But I'm hearing you can relax about this. I'm hearing your spirit guides got this. They've got this, meaning this connection is not over. There is unfinished business here, and this is going to unfold naturally. But the more hyper-focused and hyper-aware you become of this person, the more it almost like pushes it further down the line. Now, when it comes to their thoughts and feelings, I'm getting very strongly that they are, I'm hearing, stuck in their head. I feel that this is someone who's been dealing with a lot of insecurities. And this is someone who's almost been, I'm hearing, in their own internal insecure echo chamber. And this is part of what's dropped them down to that lower frequency. But I mean, this is why I have to pull this up. I created an Instagram post the other day, and the post that I wrote is, don't go searching for people on timelines you've already vibrated out of. And spoiler alert, I was talking about this energy. I was talking about this situation that I'm picking up on. So I guess if you want sometimes previews of upcoming messages, you could follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is @magnetizeyourself, by the way. But yeah, I was really picking up on this energy. I posted that a little bit before I started this recording, and I was really getting that there was someone who almost like you were feeling tempted to chase someone and I don't mean chase like, of course, in a weird literal sense, like you're actually like showing up where they're going to be all the time or something, but energetically chase someone who you both felt this really rare bond with. But I almost felt like that was pulling you down to timelines that you shouldn't go down, meaning timelines where you're feeling distracted, where you're feeling frazzled, where you're exiting that place of peace, where you start to feel kind of not like yourself, kind of performative in some sort of way. And I know you're so intuitive that you can sense when you start kind of going down that trail of frequencies around like distraction, chaos. And I feel the greatest temptation to do that comes when you want to make an exception for someone, right? Like this person, because they do have a genuine soul bond with you, because there was something mutual and powerful here. And so it is so tempting to kind of follow that trail to see where it goes. But I'm hearing you're going to get a chance to see where it goes, but you have to stay in your seat of power, in your Empress energy, if you will. Now, we don't have time to get too deep into this right now, but speaking of you being like the Empress, like this free floating, beautiful, you may be a divine feminine, you don't have to be, but that kind of energy, what I'm getting, and the download I received earlier is you have this uncanny ability to access and to explore any timeline. And this, I'm getting so many chills right now. This feels huge because I don't think we've ever put that in clear terms, and we've never talked about just how rare that is. You're almost like a timeline traveler. You have this ability to move between timelines, between dimensions, and you have the ability to do this, yes. But this is why sometimes you feel invisible on certain timelines. So if you choose to go, let's say you encounter a soul connection up here on like your typical high vibrational baseline frequency timeline, your magical timeline, if you will, your manifestation timeline, your dream timeline, that's where you are usually. Let's say that, like in this case, you connect with this person who temporarily rises up to that timeline briefly. They encounter you, you share a deep soul activation. It leaves an impression on the both of you. And then that person, out of insecurity, drops into a lower timeline. You start to feel the soul ache because you sense there's unfinished business. You think, I need to connect with that person. I need to know more about them. I want to figure out what's going on here. I want to explore it. And you have that ability. You have the ability to drop your frequency and to kind of lower your vibration to go searching for that person on a timeline that is not very authentic to you, that is making you feel kind of disempowered, that makes you feel kind of like you're pursuing or chasing, that makes you feel kind of frazzled or not really your typical confident, self-assured, glowing, magnetic self, you have the ability to do that. And there's nothing wrong with choosing to drop into different timeline frequencies, to explore different timelines. You may choose to do that at times, even intentionally. I'm hearing for exploratory purposes, whatever that means. But I feel that it's always been essential for you to return back to your home timeline, to clear your energy, to realign with that baseline frequency, even if you are out there exploring these other timelines. The thing about this person or energy is I feel like your desire to connect with them just keeps pulling you into these timelines of distraction and chaos and out of your seat of power, to the point where for some of you, it may have become really distracting. And that's why this reading is meant to call you back into your home timeline and to give you that confidence that yes, this person is going to be, there is going to be an unfolding connection here. There is going to be a chance to explore this further between the two of you. But the reason you're being blocked from it right now is because this person is not ready. They're caught in a lot of their own insecurity. And there's that wall of essentially, again, like we said earlier, divine protection that's been put up here. So there's so much more that I want to say about this. I do have to go for now, but yeah, let me know in the comments section. I would love to get a conversation going if you've been experiencing any dynamic like this. We didn't get to talk about the other reasons that you may be feeling pulled to other lower timelines right now. So that may come up in tomorrow's reading. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and close, if I can say. I was between saying leave or close, but I feel that that throat chakra mix-up could also represent someone who is maybe this person feeling like nervous to speak to you. They're feeling kind of tongue-tied around you. I really want to get more into this in a future reading. I'm sure this won't be the last we hear of this person. But anyway, yeah, let me know if it connected for you. And otherwise, I am sending you all so much love. I love you all so much. Thank you for being here. And I will connect with you here again in the next